I was the guy who had it all together: a solid career as a high school physics teacher, a decade-long marriage with a woman I adored, and a life built on what I thought was trust. Megan and I had met in college, survived the chaos of our 20s, and settled into a steady, predictable routine. She was an English teacher at the same school, and while I was passionate about equations and laws of motion, she lived for poetry and literature. We were opposites in many ways, but that's what made it work. Or at least, I thought it did. It all started with a single text. An anonymous number, no context, no warning, just a handful of words that changed everything. Your wife isn't who you think she is. Check the guest list for the Palmer Hotel. I should have dismissed it. I almost did. Anonymous texts are nothing but trouble, right? Spam, pranks, or some bitter ex-student trying to mess with me. And yet, something about it lingered. Megan had mentioned a conference coming up. Some curriculum development retreat she had to attend for the weekend. I had barely registered it at the time, nodding along while distracted with my lesson plans. But now, that nagging little thought started scratching at the back of my mind. Still, I told myself it was nothing, just a dumb prank. But I checked anyway. First, I searched the conference name online and found the registration list. The names of attendees were public. My fingers felt cold as I scrolled through, scanning for Megan's name. Nothing. I told myself it was a mistake. Maybe she registered late. Maybe she used a different name. My heartbeat picked up as I checked our shared Google Calendar, something we used for years to track our schedules. There was the event, blocked off for the weekend. But there was something off about it. No official link. No details. Just a vague title and, hidden in the notes section, two initials: AR/NW. I stared at it, my pulse pounding in my ears. AR Adam Reeves. The new P teacher. It felt like my entire body went still. Adam had only started at our school this past year. He was young, charismatic, the kind of guy who never had to try to win people over. Women, teachers, and students' moms alike practically threw themselves at him. Megan had mentioned him in passing a few times, but I had never given it much thought. Until now. I sat back in my chair, rubbing my jaw, thinking through every interaction Megan had with Adam. She had been working on some teacher wellness program with him. Late meetings, early morning runs, extra time at school. She had started working out more, dressing differently. New perfume. A sudden obsession with her hair. Jesus. Had I been this blind? I swallowed, trying to ignore the sick feeling creeping into my gut. Maybe I was jumping to conclusions. Maybe there was a logical explanation. I needed something real. Something concrete. The next morning, Megan was sitting across from me at the breakfast table, tapping away at her phone. She looked up, smiling like everything was normal. "You have a long day today?" she asked casually. I forced a chuckle. "The usual." "You?" She stretched and let out a small yawn. "Ugh. Meetings. I have to finalize everything for the conference, so I'll probably be late again tonight." Late again. Just like she had been for weeks. I took a sip of my coffee, keeping my face neutral. "The Palmer Hotel, right?" She didn't even flinch. "Yeah. How many other teachers are going?" She shrugged. "Not sure. A few from the district. I'll probably just keep to myself." A few from the district. That's what she said. Not names. Not schools. A vague answer to keep me from asking more. I wanted to push further, but I stopped myself. If I accused her of anything now, she'd just deny it. I needed proof. That night, while she was in the shower, I took a deep breath and opened her work bag. I never snooped. I had never felt the need to. But right now, every instinct in me screamed that I was being played for a fool. I unzipped the front pocket, fingers shaking slightly. There, tucked between a pile of papers, was a folded piece of handwritten stationery. I opened it. Can't wait for our special getaway. You're my muse. My passion. No signature. But I didn't need one. I already knew. I stared at the note, my mind blank for a moment. Then the rage hit, hot and sharp, making my hands clench so hard the paper crumpled. Megan walked out of the bathroom a few minutes later, towel wrapped around her, still smiling. I looked at her, forcing my expression to stay calm, forcing the fury to settle into something colder. She had no idea I knew. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the steady rhythm of Megan's breathing beside me. She had fallen asleep easily, like nothing was wrong, like she wasn't sneaking off with another man, like she wasn't planning an entire weekend at a beachside hotel with him, wrapped up in silk sheets, while I sat at home believing she was attending a conference. I had spent years trusting her completely, and now I felt like a stranger in my own marriage. I forced myself to think. I had found the note, Adam's little love letter, proof that something was going on, but I needed more. I needed undeniable evidence. If I confronted her now, she would lie to my face. I could already hear it, her voice trembling, the wide-eyed denial, the accusations that I was being paranoid, crazy, controlling. No, I wouldn't give her the chance to talk her way out of this. I needed a plan. The next morning, I got up early. Megan was still in bed, her face relaxed in sleep, like she had no care in the world. It made me sick. I moved through the house on autopilot, making coffee, packing my work bag, pretending everything was normal. When Megan finally woke up, she stretched lazily and smiled at me. "Morning," she said, her voice thick with sleep. I forced myself to smile back. "Morning," she yawned, rubbing her eyes. "What time is it?" "Almost 7," she groaned. "Ugh, I have a meeting first thing. This week is going to be so exhausting." I took a slow sip of my coffee, watching her carefully. "Conference is this weekend, right?" She nodded, already scrolling through her phone. "Yeah, I'll probably leave Friday morning." I kept my voice light. "You driving alone?" For a split second, she hesitated. A tiny pause, barely noticeable, but I caught it. "Yeah," she said quickly, not looking up. "I think so." I set my mug down, forcing a chuckle. "I looked up the hotel. Pretty fancy for a teacher conference." That made her glance at me. Her face was relaxed, but her eyes were too alert now. "It's just where they'd booked the event," she said with a shrug. "I didn't pick it." Another lie. I had already checked. There was no conference. I let the conversation drop. Megan stood, stretched, and walked over to kiss me on the cheek. "I have to get going," she said. "Staff meeting." I nodded, watching her grab her bag and head for the door. The same bag where I had found Adam's note. The moment she was gone, I grabbed my phone. Time to take this further. I needed real evidence, something that would completely corner her. If I was going to catch her, I had to be methodical, logical. That's when I thought of Sarah Chin. Sarah had been one of my best students years ago, sharp, detail-oriented, good at finding patterns. She had gone into criminal investigations after college, and I had followed her career with interest. We had stayed in touch casually, but I had never expected to call her for something like this. Still, I hit dial. She picked up on the second ring. "Mr. Wilson?" "Hey, Sarah," I said, keeping my voice even. "Got a minute?" "For you?" "Of course." "What's up?" I hesitated. Even saying it out loud felt too real, too final. I need you to look into something for me. Sarah paused for a second. This sounds serious. It is. She didn't ask for details, just said, Tell me what you need. I told her everything. The anonymous text, the missing conference records, the love note. She was quiet for a long time. Then she sighed. I I had a bad feeling about this. My chest tightened. What do you mean? I don't know if I should be telling you this, but I've seen them at school. Who? Megan and Adam. My grip tightened on the phone. Sarah hesitated. I didn't think much of it before. Just little things. The way they talk, the way they look at each other when they think no one's watching. She sighed. I should have told you. A cold, sinking feeling settled in my stomach. It was real. I cleared my throat. Can you track her phone? Sarah didn't even hesitate. I'll see what I can do. That night, Megan came home late. Again, she breezed in, setting her bag down like nothing was wrong. Sorry, babe. Staff meeting ran long. I was sitting at the kitchen table, grading papers. I glanced up, keeping my expression neutral. No problem. She walked over, ran her fingers through my hair. You okay? You seem quiet. I forced a smile. Just tired. She smiled back, kissed my forehead, and walked into the bedroom. I exhaled slowly. I had never been a suspicious husband. I had never checked her phone, never questioned her late nights. But now, I had Sarah running a full location history on her phone. By morning, I'd know exactly where she had been. And if my gut was right, if she wasn't just meeting Adam at school, but somewhere else, somewhere private, I barely slept. I lay in bed beside Megan, staring at the ceiling, listening to the soft rhythm of her breathing. How could she sleep so easily, knowing what she was doing? Knowing that she had spent the evening lying to my face, probably still buzzing from whatever stolen moment she had with Adam before she came home and kissed me like nothing was wrong? The worst part was how normal it all seemed. How, if I didn't know what I knew, I would have rolled over, kissed her goodnight, and fallen asleep without a second thought. But now, I knew the truth was waiting for me. At 5 a.m., my phone buzzed on the nightstand. I carefully slid out of bed, grabbed it, and stepped into the bathroom, locking the door behind me. My hands were steady as I unlocked the screen. A message from Sarah Chin. Sarah, got what you need. Call me when you're up. I exhaled. This was it. I dialed. She picked up instantly. Jack. Her voice was quiet but firm. No small talk. Straight to business. What did you find? She sighed. You're not going to like it. I already don't. There was a brief pause before she continued. She wasn't at school after hours like she told you. I traced her phone's location over the past 2 weeks. She's been making regular stops at an apartment complex on the east side of town. I blinked. An apartment? Yes. Same unit number every time. And before you ask, yes, I pulled the lease. She hesitated. It's Adam's place. I gripped the edge of the sink, my knuckles turning white. There it was. The proof. She's been there for hours at a time, Sarah continued. Sometimes in the middle of the day, sometimes at night when she told you she was working late. A brief pause. I'm sorry, Jack. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I knew. My voice was flat. I just needed to be sure. She didn't say anything, but I knew she understood. I also checked something else, she added. Her phone's location history shows she already checked into the Palmer Hotel last night. She didn't wait for Friday. I swallowed back the rush of pure rage that shot through me. She's already there? Yeah. Checked in around 10 p.m. my hands clenched into fists. She had left our home, kissed me goodnight, and gone straight to him. I let out a slow breath. Sarah, I need one more favor. Name it. I want to catch them. Megan was still asleep when I stepped back into the bedroom. I stood there for a moment, just watching her. She looked so peaceful, so innocent. It made me sick. I turned away, grabbed my suitcase from the closet, and started packing. I wasn't just leaving, I was going to that hotel. Sarah had already booked me a room under a fake name. If Megan thought she and Adam were going to spend a romantic weekend at a beachfront resort, she had no idea what was coming. I finished packing, zipped the suitcase shut, and grabbed my phone. One last thing. I opened our shared bank account and initiated a withdrawal transfer. Not everything, just enough to make her feel it. Enough to let her know, when she finally checked, that things were changing. I took one last look at her before stepping out the door. She was still asleep, still dreaming. I didn't rush. I drove to the hotel with the calm, steady focus of a man who knew exactly what needed to be done. Every emotion, every ounce of rage, humiliation, and heartbreak was locked away behind a wall of cold determination. I wasn't going to explode. I wasn't going to scream or throw punches. I was going to be smart, because Megan thought she was playing a game. She thought she was sneaking around, covering her tracks, feeding me just enough lies to keep me blind. She had no idea that I was 10 steps ahead. By the time I pulled into the Palmer Hotel parking lot, I knew exactly how this was going to go. I had my room key in hand before I even made it to the front desk. Sarah had booked it under a fake name, a room on the same floor as Megan and Adam. The staff didn't even blink when I walked past, luggage rolling behind me, my face neutral. Everything was going according to plan. I took the elevator up, stepped into my room, and set my bag down carefully. Then I took out my second phone, the one Sarah had given me, equipped with all the necessary tools for the job. I checked the live feed. Sarah had hacked into the hotel's internal Wi-Fi system. The security cameras weren't high-end, but they didn't need to be. One quick access point, and I had a direct view of the hallway outside their room. I sat on the edge of the bed and watched. The hallway was empty. Then, at exactly 10:17 a.m., the door to room 846 opened. Megan stepped out first, wearing a tight red dress. Not the professional kind, but the kind that was meant to be taken off. Her hair was curled, makeup flawless, lips glossy. She turned back toward the doorway, smiling. And then, right on cue, Adam followed. He was dressed casually, white shirt unbuttoned halfway, smirking like the smug bastard he was. They kissed, right there in the open, like I didn't exist. I didn't move, didn't react. I just watched. They lingered in the hallway for a moment, whispering, laughing. Then, hand in hand, they walked toward the elevator, headed for breakfast or a spa session or whatever the hell they had planned for their little romantic getaway. And that was when I moved. I slipped my phone into my pocket, grabbed the extra room key I had paid the front desk for, and stepped out into the hallway. Their door clicked shut behind them. I walked right up to it, slid the keycard in, and stepped inside. Their bags were there, clothes scattered across the bed, wine glasses on the nightstand. Everything was exactly how I expected. But I wasn't here to make a mess. I was here to set the stage. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my own little surprise, a hidden recording device. I placed it carefully behind the bedside lamp, where it wouldn't be noticed. Then, just for fun, I took her wedding ring, the one she had clearly taken off, and dropped it right in the middle of the bed. Let her come back and see it. Let her wonder. I took a slow breath, turned, and left the room, locking the door behind me. Then, I went back to my own room and waited. It was close to midnight when I saw them come back. I watched the live camera feed from the hallway. Megan was laughing, her body pressed up against Adam's, her hands all over him. She had changed into something skimpier, a thin silk dress with no bra, nipples hard against the fabric. Adam kissed her neck, grinding against her, his hands gripping her ass as they stumbled toward the door. They barely made it inside before he pushed her against the wall, his mouth crashing onto hers. I flicked open my phone and hit record. From where I stood in the adjoining room, I heard everything. The sound of their kisses, sloppy and desperate. Megan's breathy little moans. The rustling of clothes as he pushed her dress up, her giggles turning into needy whimpers. Then her voice, sultry and teasing. Someone's eager. You can't even wait till we get to bed? Adam chuckled. You know what you do to me, babe. Babe. She let him call her that. There was a rustling sound, the distinct noise of fabric hitting the floor. My wife's dress. F***CK, Adam muttered. No panties? You were planning to be bad tonight. Megan giggled. For you always. Always. I clenched my fists so hard my nails dug into my palms, but I didn't move. I wanted to hear her dig her own grave. The bed creaked as they collapsed onto it. Megan let out a sharp gasp, followed by a breathy, Adam. She had never said my name like that. Not in years. She was starving for him, rolling her hips against his, desperate and hungry. The sound of kissing filled the room, wet and obscene. Then Adam's voice, thick with lust. You're foo ing perfect. You feel so good. A moan. Hers. Foo K me, she whispered. And that was my cue. I knocked 3 times. Everything inside went dead silent. Then Megan's panicked whisper. Who the foo is that? Adam cursed under his breath. There was a scramble of movement, sheets rustling, hurried footsteps. I waited exactly 10 seconds before knocking again, louder this time. Megan's voice wavered. Hello? Megan's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air, her mind scrambling to form a lie, an excuse, anything to make this go away. But there was nothing she could say. I had caught her red-handed, standing in front of me in nothing but a silk robe, her skin still flushed from fucking another man. And Adam? He was frozen, his half-hard dick clearly visible through his boxers, looking like a deer in headlights. I let the silence stretch, savoring the panic in their eyes. Megan swallowed hard, forcing a nervous, shaky laugh. Jack, baby, this isn't what it looks like. I tilted my head, smirking. Really? I held up my phone. Because I just recorded you moaning his name while he was about to fuck you. So, please enlighten me. What exactly does it look like? She flinched. Good. Adam finally found his voice, stepping forward like he actually thought he could talk his way out of this. Hey, man, I know this looks bad, but I cut him off with a sharp laugh. Looks bad? Oh no, Adam. This doesn't just look bad. This is a fucking disaster for both of you. His jaw tensed, trying to play tough, but I could see the sweat forming at his temple. He had no idea what was coming next. Megan reached for me, her voice desperate now. Jack, please, I can explain. I took a step back. Do not fucking touch me. Her face crumpled. I'm sorry, okay? It was just a mistake. It didn't mean anything. I barked out a laugh. Didn't mean anything? I stepped closer, lowering my voice to a dangerous calm. You sneaked around behind my back for months. Lied to me every single day. Took off your wedding ring to fuck him. And you have the fucking audacity to stand here, naked in another man's hotel room, and tell me it didn't mean anything? Tears welled up in her eyes. Jack, But I wasn't done. Oh, and don't forget, I added, holding up my phone again, rewinding the video and pressing play. Fuck me. Her breathy voice filled the room. Adam. Her own fucking moans played on a loop, crystal clear. Megan screamed, lunging for the phone, but I yanked it away easily. No, no, I said, shaking my head. You don't get to erase this. You don't get to pretend this didn't happen. She was sobbing now, mascara running, but I didn't feel even a shred of sympathy. She didn't cry when she spread her legs for another man. Adam, meanwhile, was still trying to act tough, his arms crossed. All right, man, you made your point. What do you want? I turned to him slowly, my smile icy. Oh, Adam, I don't want anything. I stepped closer, dropping my voice. I already took everything from you. Confusion flickered across his face. What the hell are you talking about? I slipped my phone into my pocket and pulled out my real weapon, a printed stack of documents. I held them up and watched as Megan's eyes went wide with horror. Oh, you recognize these? I asked, my voice dripping with mock curiosity. That's right, darling. While you were getting your brains fucked out by this clown, I was handling business. I tossed the first sheet onto the bed. A bank statement. Megan's personal account. Completely drained. What the fuck? She gasped, snatching it up, her hand shaking as she read the numbers. Where's my money? I smirked. Did you really think I wouldn't check our finances? That I wouldn't notice you funneling money into a secret account? Guess what, sweetheart? I beat you to it. Her breath hitched. Jack, I threw another document at her feet. A signed confession of infidelity. Drafted by my lawyer. Witnessed. Notarized. Her own fucking signature at the bottom. Because 2 days ago, when she was at work, I had my lawyer draft a document outlining her adultery, ensuring that when I divorced her, she would get absolutely nothing. I had forged her signature, and she couldn't do shit about it. She was already ruined. She staggered back, her hands over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Jack, please! Don't do this. Oh, but I already did. Adam was still frowning, trying to piece it together, but I wasn't finished. I turned to him next. I tossed another paper at him. A termination letter. From our school. He grabbed it, eyes widening as he read. What the fuck is this? I grinned. That, Adam, is your resignation. Turns out, the school board doesn't take too kindly to a teacher fucking another teacher's wife. They received anonymous video evidence of your little affair earlier tonight. Adam turned pale. You sent them that video? I tilted my head. Not just them. I pulled out my phone again, turned the screen to face him, and pressed play. The video was already live streaming. Broadcasting. To our entire faculty group chat. To parents of students. To our goddamn town Facebook page. Megan collapsed to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Oh my God! Oh my God! Adam lunged at me, but I didn't even flinch. Think carefully, Adam, I said, my voice dangerously calm. If you throw a punch, the police will be here before you can even zip your pants. His fist trembled midair. He knew I was right. So instead, he did what cowards do. He turned to Megan, his voice panicked. You said no one would find out. You said we'd be fine. Megan just sobbed harder, rocking back and forth, repeating, No, no, no. I let them unravel in front of me for another few seconds before stepping back toward the door. Well, I said, adjusting my jacket, I think my work here is done. I turned one last time to Megan, whose tear-streaked face was full of pure, helpless devastation. This is what you wanted, isn't it? I asked softly. A new life? I smiled coldly. Well, now you have it. And with that, I walked out the door, leaving them to rot in the mess they made. I smiled. Time to ruin her life. I knocked one last time, then spoke. Surprise, darling? Silence. Then hurried footsteps. A pause, the sound of the lock clicking open. The door swung inward, and there she was. My wife. Standing in the doorway, her face drained of all color, wearing nothing but a silk robe barely covering her naked body. And behind her? Adam. Shirtless. Disheveled. Dick still half-hard in his boxers. I took a slow, deep breath, taking in the scene like a spectator at a crime scene. Megan's lips parted, but no words came out. Her entire body froze, her brain short-circuiting, scrambling for a way out. Jack, she stammered. This isn't. I held up my phone, letting her see the live recording. No need for explanations, I said coldly. I heard everything.